I wish sometimes that I'd never come to Taiwan before, so that I could experience it for the first time again. The other day I was in a street market, and this big German guy approached me, and he was so happy. He was so thrilled. He was so excited to be in Taiwan. It was contagious. And I had that thought, wow, this is his first time in Taiwan. He is so lucky. To visit Taiwan for the first time is, in my definition, true happiness. Just think, to do almost anything for the first time is usually, if not true happiness, then at least memorable, because it was the first time. If only you could capture that feeling and put it into a bottle and drink it when you're sad. This season of Bob's Utopia is turning out to be less about living in Taiwan and more about just living, enjoying life as it unfolds before you. Got back last night from Mei Nong village. It's part of Kaohsiung. You ride the city bus out there. It takes about an hour and a half, but you're still in Kaohsiung City, even though you go on the highway for a long time too. And I'm using my folding bike exactly as it's intended to be used, by folding it up and putting it on trains and buses, unfolding it at the destination and riding around. In this case, Mei Nong village. And what do you do when you're in Mei Nong village? Well, there's a city gate, an east gate, which is about 300 years old, which is certainly worth a visit. And there is the old village, which is much smaller than you think, but it's got some really nice architecture that you should check out. And in Qishan there's an old street, and you have to buy bananas. The other crop that they have is tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, which makes me wonder, 300 years ago, when the first Han Chinese settlers arrived, what did they farm? Because it wasn't cherry tomatoes and bananas. And it's not a Taiwanese village. People don't speak Mandarin or Taiwanese to each other. They speak Hakka, Flavour. So another thing you have to do is eat the local food, which is Hakka food. And it's pretty good. And I feel great because in Taiwan I'm always getting lots of exercise. Riding around a valley for an afternoon one day, the day before hiking up and down Monkey Mountain again. Every day is like this. Even today, like a rest day, I'll probably log more than 15,000 steps. And I'm not trying to do it, it just kind of comes naturally with living here. And that's what this season of Bob's Utopia is kind of about. Just living here amongst the differences. This morning I'm walking through a dry market. I got up early. It's not open yet. I'll walk through this market again before Chinese New Year, just to show you how crazy it can get. And and it can get crazy. And I know that Wes Davies, the famous Kaohsiung YouTuber, the most famous Kaohsiung YouTuber, likes to hang out in this market. But I doubt I will see him today because I'm a morning bird and I have the feeling that he's a bit of a night cat. I'm a highly flawed individual, but so are you. We all are. And we should embrace our flaws. Striving for perfection is a complete waste of time. Because there is no perfection. I mean, we should strive to be better people, good people. But we can't strive for perfection and expect to reach it. When I was in Mei Nong yesterday, looking at the East Gate, the gate that was 300 years old, naturally it had been rebuilt, remodeled, redone a few times over the last 3 centuries. And there was a comment that the Japanese ruined it when they redid it. Because they rebuilt it in a more modern style, say 100 years ago. But that's very unfair. The thing about history is, it is what it is. It was what it was. And you can't rewrite history. You can't revise history. And as a country, if you're not at least a little bit embarrassed about your history, then you don't know your history very well. And if you're not at least a little bit embarrassed about some of the things you've watched on YouTube, if you're not embarrassed about your own personal YouTube history, then you haven't watched enough YouTube today. Watch more YouTube. Good for you. They say that the journey is more important than the destination. But frankly, I don't think either one is very important. And that's because I don't think anything is really important. When people say, I think it's important that, whatever follows that never seems to me to be very important. It's like they're trying to convince themselves that this certain something has some kind of meaning. When I walk around like this thinking about philosophy, I always have to think, I always have to remember, and I remind you now, about the categorical imperative. Because if everyone was like me, society would break down. You can't do what you want all the time. You can't be free like this. Not everyone can. Only I can. This is my world and my reality. I mean, it's not okay to steal. Because if everyone stole, there'd be no private property. And we'd be living in a world of chaos. And it's not okay to lie. But sometimes it's okay to lie if telling the truth is going to hurt somebody's feelings. And it's not okay to be lazy, because if everyone was lazy, nothing would ever get done. But it's okay to be lazy sometimes. because you have to recharge. So I think it's okay to shoot for the stars, but your real goal is not the stars. It's Uranus.